Hi, everyone. This is Keith. And today I want to talk to you about databases, but specifically, what are databases and how do I use them? I am on the Digital Main Library website, and if you have followed my tutorial videos up until this point, and I know you have, you are familiar with this website. The Digital Main Library is a collection of databases and resources that you would generally have to pay for. However, because you're a resident of Maine, you have access to them for free. Today, I will be talking about this database right at the tippy top left of the screen here called Academic One File. Let's read the description here together. Extensive, peer reviewed, full text articles from the world's leading journals and reference sources, covering all academic disciplines. It has millions of articles available both in PDF or HTML format. What does that mean? Let me just kind of give you an example. Oftentimes, at a college or university, a professor, when not teaching, will do research on whatever subject. They'll just do some research on it and they will put out a paper. Now, generally, these papers are behind a paywall. You can't get to it unless you pay money for it, which, I mean, that kind of stinks that you have to pay money to educate, but I guess that's how things are. That's a topic for a different day. So, oftentimes, they're locked in these databases that would cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to have access to. But again, for being a resident of Maine, you have access to it for free. Now, Academic One File says it covers all academic disciplines. Many of the databases on Digital Main Library are incredibly similar to Academic One File. In fact, you can see that it says Gale in parentheses. Many of these databases say Gale in parentheses. Books and authors. That's a database just about books and authors. This is a database just about business. This is business economics in theory. There's databases that just cover education, that just cover medicine, and it can be confusing sometimes to know, geez, what database do I want to get into here? If you're just starting out, Academic One File is a great place to start because, again, the highlighted section, it covers all academic disciplines. On the bottom here, it says this is good for college, teen, and high school, public. And I agree with that. I think if you're a high school student and you can learn to use this, it would greatly benefit the research papers that you may be working on. Definitely, though, if you are in college or if you're just doing research on your own, it's perfect for that as well. This is high level, well researched, and often peer reviewed articles covering whatever subject you're looking into. What is peer reviewed? Peer reviewed means after that professor or whomever working at the institution puts out a paper, it is then sent to experts in the field who then verify, yes, this work is correct. I agree with this work. So it's kind of them signing off on the science or methods or results of that article. Okay, I think we've done a pretty good discussion up until this point on what a database is and why you would want to use it. So let's dive into Academic One File. I'm just clicking it. It'll take a few seconds to load. And when you get there, all right, this is the screen we're looking at. Now, if you were to go to any of those other databases that cover a specific subject, you're probably going to be presented with something that looks very similar to this. The user interface is going to be very similar. So it allows you to browse by disciplines here, topic finder, whatnot. I think the most important thing you want to use, though, is search or possibly the advanced search, and we'll get into the advanced search. But for now, let's do search. And what are we going to search for today? I didn't really think about it beforehand, so let's just do the first thing that popped into my head, which is lobsters. I'm just going to type in lobster. Now it's saying maybe you want to research lobster salad. Maybe you want to research lobster fishery. Lobster for now is just fine. I will type in lobster. Wow. I have immediately received 6,608 academic journals that are sorted by relevance. Okay, that's a lot. Like I wanted to do something on lobsters and here I am. I'm getting all sorts of stuff and I want to kind of narrow that down. So let's mosey on over to the advanced search. You can see that that tab still, that link still exists right here. And now you are on the advanced search. So let's type in, if I can spell, lobster. Where do I want to search for the word lobster? Do I want it to just be a keyword? Keyword generally means anywhere. It could be in the title. It could be the author's name. It could be Professor Lobster could be publishing this. It could be just in the subject of it. Author. Whatever. There's plenty of ways we can kind of narrow it down. I'm just going to leave lobster as a keyword. It just has to appear anywhere in the article, even if it's Professor Lobster talking about dachshunds. That's not even what I really want. I'm sure that won't come up that. I'm sure there's not that many Professor Lobsters. Anyways, lobster is a keyword, and I want it to be about Maine. So now every article that is found has to contain the word lobster, and it has to contain the word Maine. That's going to significantly narrow my results. And let's just try that by hitting search. And look at that. I went from like, what was it, 6,000 something? Now I'm at 82. That is a lot more manageable than 6,000 and whatever. And while we're covering it, let me just jump back to advanced search real quick. And let me type in lobster again. And let me type in Maine again. But let me show off this drop down box on the left here. Right now it says and. You also have options for or for not. So if you did a search for lobster or Maine, you're going to get a ton of results. Yeah, now I have 7,883. I have even more than the first time because it's taking every single article in this database that contains the word lobster and showing it, and it's taking every single article that contains the word Maine and showing it, or will increase the amount of results you get and will limit the amount of results that you get. One more trip back to advanced search. Let's say I type in lobster, I type in Maine, and I switch this and to a not. So I'm looking for the keyword lobster, but not the word Maine. So if there is an article, and we know there's, 60 something, was that it? Articles that had lobster and Maine, it's going to get rid of those articles because it's not going to show you any article that has the word Maine in it. Now, maybe that's not a smart way to do the search, but maybe you want lobster, not crab. So then it won't show you any results that contain the word crab. And if we do a search, you can see it went from 6,000 something right down to 752. A lot of those lobster articles had crab fluff that you had no reason to read. Um, Sorry, one more trip to advanced search because I want to go back to my lobster search. So we're just going to do the lobster search for lobster and Maine, but that's kind of a brief tutorial on how advanced searches work. And you can see down here that there's also more options. Um, for example, by publication date, you can say, I want things published before this date, on this date, after this date. I think using after this date is pretty useful if you're just looking for the most recent result. Maybe stuff from 10 years ago is not as important to you because the science has changed, or you're just looking for uh, whatever the current consensus or whatever the community is thinking, whatnot. So, anyways, let's use that. I don't really care about the day, just the 1st of January. But let's say I want it to be from 2015. Basically, we're looking at the last 5+ years. Okay, lobster is keyword and Maine, just within the last 5 years, please. And I'm going to select this peer-reviewed journals. I only want journals that have been peer-reviewed by others, and I'm going to hit search. I'm now only seeing 22 academic journals. These are journals that were published in the last 5 years and that have been peer reviewed. So let's say one of the journals I'm looking for, or that I want to use, is this one. Our Only Boss is the Tide. You can see the author here, and it is from the Maine Review, Volume 3, Issue 1. Let's just click it. And there it is. It's immediately giving me the entire article right here. Now, again, you would typically have to either subscribe to a database on your own or get your hands on the Maine Review Volume 3, Issue 1, which was the winter 2016 issue, to have access to this. But here you go. Here's the entire article. You can then, if you're using your research paper, pull quotes from this. I would recommend cite it correctly in your work studied or your work cited or your bibliography. Um, but this is something you can use for research. And look at that right at the bottom, source citation. It's giving us the MLA 8th edition. Just copy that, toss it in your works cited. Maybe you want APA, maybe you want Chicago. Super duper easy to use. This is a great way to write a research paper. If you just go to Google and type things in, yeah, you're going to get information, but is it peer reviewed? Was it published in a respected journal, etc.? Those kind of things you can't always answer for. And you can see, this one here, uh, differential response of the American lobster. I'm going to stop reading there because the words get kind of confusing. It was published in the Journal of Shellfish Research. I don't know about you. I personally am not subscribed, nor have I held 5 years worth of the Journal of Shellfish Research at my home. And as much as physical libraries are a wealth of information, sometimes topics are so niche that, your local library or even the local college library may not subscribe to that very specific and particular journal, but the database has it. So I hope that this is helpful in some way to you. I think just in general curiosity, I think this is kind of cool to read. I know people have used this in researching, health stuff for themselves, whether it's, exercise or diet or whatnot. It can be a good resource for looking into that, but it's a great resource for students, both high school and college, who are looking to kind of up their research game. Because if you're dropping some knowledge bombs from the Journal of Shellfish Research, your professor is going to respect that. All right, that's it from me. I'm Keith. If you have any questions on this, please shoot us an email. Our email address is rpl@rockport.lib.me.us. Or you can just head on over to our website, just do a search for Rockport Public Library, Maine, and you'll see us there. And the email address is right there. And once again, in order to get to this database, you do need to go to the Digital Main Library. You cannot do a Google or whatever search for it. You have to go through the Digital Main Library. So that's it from me. I'm Keith, and I will see you later. Bye bye.